everyone, so we're going to be looking at this news API on newsapi.org, and I'm going to show you guys how we can create our own key here and then look through all this information and then actually display the information on our web page. So the first thing we do have to do is we do have to get an API key. So you should log in and register and make an account. You should be able to see here you have an API key, and this my API key I'm gonna change it later on, but here you can just copy this and you can then begin to use this API key in your projects. So let me go back to the actual documentation here. I'm going to click on the documentation tab, and right here we can actually see there's a get started. So it's going to be a little bit different if you're using different types of languages. I'm going to be using Next.js 13 and how we can grab the information. So I believe it's just going to be like Node.js type of layout. And we're going to use this in order to grab the information. So all we need to do is, let's go to our code here. I'm going to just start a brand new project. And here I'll just say no to everything and just hit enter here. I'm dragging and dropping this folder over, and I'm going to have it here in my Visual Studio Code. And you can see here I got the bare bones basics of the project set up. So now that I have this set up, I'm going to have to actually just lay out a few things in order to make this work. First thing I have to do though is in this package.json, I need to add Axios. Axios is going to help us retrieve the data that we need. So I'm just going to go here to the npmjs.com site for Axios. To install it, just click on this npm i Axios. It'll copy it. And let's go back here, open a new terminal, and we should be able to install Axios now, and you'll see it add on to our packages. There we go. So we got Axios right there. Now we're ready to go, but we still need to import it on our page here. So let's import Axios. And what I'll do here now is I'm going to grab my API key because I want to set up a variable called API key. And this is where I'm going to store this variable for the API key. And I'm also going to have a URL which is going to grab the data from this URL. I'm going to use backticks for this because this is where I'm going to add my API key into it. And what I need to do in order to grab the right URL is if I go to the site over here, on the site, if we just go, let's click Get Started tab. So let's see if I click, alright, let me just see, Node.js. So I need to look for the URL. Let me see where I could actually grab it. So right here, this get URL, I'm going to grab this, copy it, and I'm then going to go back to my code. And for the URL, I'm going to paste this in, but for this, I'm also going to add a few different variables that I want to filter through. I'll say Q is equal to Tesla, let's say. So what I could actually do here, if I want to organize this a little bit better, it's better to put all the variables at the top. So I'll put type Tesla here, and then I'm just going to reference. So it's easier to see all these variables and then change it if you need to. Add the type right there. And then I'm going to say and from, and I'll add like a date. And then here equals, and I'll call that variable date. Then I'll say var sort by is equal to, I'll say published at, and I'll put the and sort, so it'll be and sort by is equal to, and I'll put the sort by there. And now here at the end, we're going to put our API key, and API key is equal to. So right here, we're just building on this URL all the different key value pairs, what we need to filter by or for. We're going to save it. Now we need to just grab our API key from our account. So if you just go to, click on your account, grab your API key, and just put it here in the API key area, save it. And what I'll do here is now I'm going to try actually setting this up first. I'll say grab news. I'll say axios.get URL dot then I'll have a response. I'll put clear console.clear to clear the console. And what I want to do is I want to store this data in a use state. So what I'll do is I'll do set data, and I'll put response.data to add that data in, console.log response.data, just so we could see it first. And after we do the dot then, we have to have the dot catch, or else if you don't, there'll be error. Console.log error if there is an error. So let's save that. And what I'm going to do is I have to actually create a button to call this function here, and I have to make sure it's grab news. I'm going to delete all this stuff in the middle of the main, just so we have a blank new project here. I'll add the button. I'll say grab info. And there we go. So I'm just trying to grab that function that I set up here whenever I click on the button. So remember, this means that it's only going to click on this, it's only going to trigger this function to actually grab the data only when you actually click on it. That's why we're using those brackets right here with the arrow. Let's save it, and let's just run this server. So you can see here I got the button, and I'm just going to inspect this page, and I'm going to see that whenever I click this button, it'll console log out the data that I'm trying to get. So right here we have nothing in our console. So what I'll do is I'll click the button. Okay, so it looks like there's an error. Let's see what could be wrong. We may need to generate another API key. Let's take a look. So what I'll do is I'll probably just generate another API key. I'll see if I could do that. I think it's because I have used that API key before. So let me just take a look here. Get API key. So it looks like it's always the same. I'll try to copy that and replace it in case. Save it. Alright, I'll save it one more time here, and I'll try going back to the browser. Refresh. 1. Okay, let's see here. Axios error. $4.26. So it looks like there's something to do with an upgrade. So it looks like News API has changed its free service to only allow API calls locally. So it looks like, okay, it's just not available for the free version anymore. I'm going to try copying this. I'm just going to paste it in. Refresh. Alright, so it does work. It looks like there must have been a spelling mistake somewhere in my URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace. Let's see. API key. So I'm going to save it right here. And I have the URL. So let me save it and try looking at the browser again. Refresh. Alright, so it does work. It looks like I just spelled something wrong somewhere. So you could see here we got all the news for this specific day. And we can actually loop through it based on the author, title, anything we'd like. And what I'll do is I will actually go here, right below the button, and I'm going to call the data from here because, alright, first we need to make sure, alright, we set the data, we added the data, okay, so now we can call the data. If there is data in here, and we can map through it. If there's data in the data, if there's data in the use state, then we can map through it. Then I will return some sort of information. And the information I will return, let's say the author, just the author for this one. And I could wrap this entire thing, let's say, around everything. And it'll grab the index to make each iteration unique. I'll put another div here. And this one, I'll grab whatever else there was. So we're getting author. Let's also grab the title as well. Save it. And we'll go through, or we'll go back to the web browser. Okay, and because it's in this variable called article, so right here, we forgot one thing, is you see here it's in articles. So we have to do .articles. .articles. Save it. Let's go back. Refresh. And there we go. We got all of the information here for the title and author. So that's how you go about grabbing information from the News API. I would just be careful about whether or not you can actually use this on a project, just because of the previous articles I've read online. You might have issues with hosting this somewhere, but you could try testing it out for yourself.